Welcome to Bright by Your Side with Jen, upleveling in the age of anxiety with groundbreaking science. I'm Jen Dyer, your host. And today on Transformation Talk Radio, of course, today we are talking about how sitting is the new smoking. And just one simple thing can reduce anxiety and improve mood, energy, and focus. Um, my next guest is a board certified health coach, best-selling author, and founder of J Wellness. She specializes in the emerging field of epigenetics, how our life choices and environment affect the expression of our genes. Yes. Jocelyn is a frequent speaker on topics related to diet and lifestyle optimization and has coached hundreds of individuals and groups, guiding them from knowledge to action. Jocelyn believes that we are in control of our health destiny by the choices we make every day, and I agree with that. She is on a mission, as am I, to spread this message. So, welcome, Miss Jocelyn Hill. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Thanks.
Um, so yeah, when you said, when you gave me that statement, sitting is the new smoking, I know that statement, I believe it, but every time I hear it, it rocks me to the core because
Yeah.
I am guilty and I keep trying to be better, and it's so hard.
Well, it's funny because we all get it like junk food, right? No one wants to eat too much junk food, but
Right.
sleep is now, it's meant to be seen like junk food for the body. That's exactly the effect it has because when we sit too long, our bodies essentially go into sleep mode. Everything slows down or essentially like goes to sleep on us. And that's not what we want.
Well, yeah, and the fact that it contributes to, and this is science, folks. We're not just being mean. That's the thing. This is science, and the science is actually saying this is as bad as smoking. We're not just exaggerating. It contributes to depression, anxiety, and other chronic health conditions. It's terrible for your mental and your physical health because those two are both intertwined.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about being more active versus just not sitting too long. Like what are the tips that we like steps we can take to, well, actually one of the things that you had mentioned was how do you know you're living a sedentary lifestyle? Because I think I'm active. I walk my dog. I love exercise, but I do find myself sitting for hours. So am I sedentary?
And that's a really good question because I've worked with a number of individuals who like maybe they work out for an hour in the morning, but then they start their workday, they're on Zoom for maybe 6 to 8 hours. They get up, they go have dinner. Sometimes they just go on social media at night or catch up on their latest Netflix show. The way to know is if you are inactive for 6 or more hours a day, that qualifies as a sedentary lifestyle. And it's
Okay, that's me.
amazing how many people, even those who exercise on a fairly regular basis, this happened to me back in 2017. When I started digging into this area, I was working at a medical clinic at the time, and I realized I'm not even moving enough for optimal
Mhm.
health and well-being. So if it can happen to me, I'm sure I thought it's definitely happening to a lot of other people. And it's kind of scary to think that a lot of people in North America are actually sitting more hours in a day than they are sleeping.
For sure.
I mean, take that in.
That's honestly, you think about that, you just count
And,
that
and
up easy.
yeah, and I find it really interesting because I work with people all the time who say, I get this. The first thing they want to tell me is, I get this many steps. So people are pretty good between, wearables like the Aura Ring that I'm wearing or Apple Watch or a Whoop strap. Everyone's tracking, not everyone, but a lot of people are tracking steps, but they're not tracking, how much time they're sitting, or they're not tracking inactivity. And it's a really different way of looking at your movement because the old way was, if you got your 30 minutes in the morning or, throughout the day, that was enough, sort of like one little burst of activity. But we know now, like, we kind of had it all wrong. It's very important to ideally stand once an hour.
So if you already have an exercise routine, you actually still have to make sure you're getting up every hour.
Yes, yes, and especially over the age of 40. Because what happens, there's just it's, sitting is just for long period. That's where we get into trouble, is when we sit for hours at a time. And you realize how I know how easy it is for this to happen. If you're somebody that's working from home, you're on Zoom, like I was saying earlier, I mean, people now, it's not like they're just watching one show. It's just so easy with all the great content to watch, podcasts and, multiple episodes of a show, without having to get up for commercial breaks.
Yeah. Do you think that working from home, since more people are getting to work from home more often, that that's actually contributing to a lot of this? Because honestly, I think about it, how much I used to run down to the kitchen while I was at the office. I don't
Yeah,
do that so much anymore.
I think it's a really good point. I mean, one of the things I talk about in my book is there's something called NEAT exercise, which is
Mm.
exercise activity thermogenesis, and it's actually a simple way to think about it is accidental exercise. It's the exercise that we're just getting throughout the day. It's the exercise that falls outside of your structured exercise, like whether that's playing pickleball or tennis or going for a run. And that's really significant. But even neat exercise is reduced with people working from home because you're just not doing as much of that moving around, walking to get a coffee, running, walking to the kitchen to, make yourself a snack or whatever.
Well, yeah, because you're not dying to get away as much. It
Exactly.
would be nice to get away from my desk, and people can't ask me for stuff if I'm not there. So it's nice to have a reason to walk down the hall. But and I love accidental exercise. I have never really heard that as a term like that. And I think we can really maybe get people to get on board with that because it sounds like you're not even knowing you're doing it.
And it's really important because I've worked with a number of people who they kind of beat themselves up because they're not, it's like, oh, I didn't make it to that class.
Hmm.
Oh, another day or another week. And if that's your mindset, that the only thing that counts is the structured exercise and your self-talk is very important and your identity is very important and your mindset, you're really missing out because that neat exercise accounts for a lot, especially for, moms if you're and dads. But if you're doing chores, if you're unloading the dishwasher, if you're doing laundry, if you're carrying kids, if you're, you know, just playing with your dog, it all adds up. And I think that's what people are missing out on. I've also heard a number of clients say, that maybe they have a break in their workday and they could go for a walk, but they feel like they don't have enough time, so it's not going to count. So they don't have 30 minutes or they don't even have 20 minutes, so they don't bother. And that's a mistake because even in my own life, you can see how, like, what I often do is a walk in the morning with my dog before 10 a.m. So I take advantage of that morning light, which really helps with our circadian rhythm.
Yes. Yeah.
I will also take a walk again at lunch or in the afternoon in between Zoom meetings. And then I can always count on a walk after dinner. And that's kind of a priority one for me because there's wonderful benefits to walking after you eat. But I can always count on that at the end of the day. So imagine for me, like today was a very busy day. Um, but I can count on, even if I did those 3 walks, that's 30 minutes. And
Hmm.
that is, for most people, that is incredible. If you can walk for 30 minutes a day, you're already ahead of a significant proportion of the population.
So, right. I mean, we all know that we all have a family member that lived to be like 99 and they were that lady that just was really wiry and always moving around. But, it was before they went to gyms and stuff. Like she didn't do
Yes.
that. But, and people are like, oh, it's genetics or something, but she was different. And it's like actually the simplest thing. She's just moving around a lot.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, the inspiration for when I told you about this chapter that I wrote all about movement, I have to say my mom was the inspiration. She's in her late 80s and she's always been a walker. She's always cleaned her own home. She doesn't sit around a lot,
Right.
she's always like baking. She's active in her home.
Yes.
She hasn't spent a lot of time in a gym, but she has maintained her mobility
Right.
into her late 80s. And so I think, and that we all know now it's all about increasing your health span. It's not just living longer, but we want to get to those later decades. We don't want to have limited mobility. And I think that's really important to look if we can learn from people like my mom and many like her. And when we think about the blue zones,
I was
same.
just going to say that's total blue zone behavior right there. Totally. Yes.
It's all about, and I think it's really
Yes.
important because what some of the experts say is that it's lack of movement that's killing us, not lack of exercise.
Yes. Yes. I want to talk more about that. I want to talk more about mindset and longevity because actually my mom lost her mobility and with hips and knees and all of this stuff. And it was devastating to her mental health, absolutely being,
Yeah.
kind of like holed up because it was difficult for her to get out. Um, being mobile is so important.
Yeah.
And then the mindset, we definitely gonna talk about that because that's kind of like a choice is who you see yourself as to motivate you to live that type of life where you're kind of busy bee kind of person. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be back right here on Transformation Talk Radio with Miss Jocelyn Hill. Welcome back to Bright by Your Side with Jen on Transformation Talk Radio. And I'm here with my guest, Jocelyn Hill, who is telling us all about how to stand up for your health and the power of just not sitting. And you don't want to sit more than 6 hours a day. Which is a really small number when you're having to work on a computer most of your time,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think
But
a key point there is like this is for optimal health. I mean, one of the things I come across all the time, I'm a coach, but I mean, I do meet people even in their 30s and 40s who honestly, they have no idea how good they're supposed to feel. I mean, 30 is not
right.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a shame when people feel that, like, oh, well, of course I'm tired, or of course I have this issue. I'm in my 40s now. But your 40s, no, no, no. Like,
Totally. Yeah, totally.
not supposed to be slowing down in your 40s. Like there's a way
No.
to grow stronger and healthier and more vital as you age. And that's why I'm so passionate about this idea of standing up for your health because no one else can do that for you. I mean, I really like almost like the feeling behind it. So I often encourage people to think about as opposed to when if you encounter something, whether it's a mental health thing, someone's struggling with anxiety or depression, and the old way was, what should I take,
Yes.
go to your doctor and what drug should I take. Whereas I think where things are evolving to now is, as opposed to what should I take, is what can I do. Is there something I can do with my lifestyle? And that really is where it's at. It's what you're eating, the way you're moving, the way you're sleeping, the way you're thinking, the way you're breathing. It all matters. So I'm not averse to medication at all. And if you are on medication, it's, you're taking your medication, and are there things you can tweak in your lifestyle, especially as it relates to movement? Because it really does have a profound effect on how you look, how you feel, and how you function every day.
Yeah. I mean, so let's talk about structured exercises. I used to run all the time. Um, and my doctor told me I needed to stop running or I would lose my mobility as I get older. And as we mentioned, yeah, longevity is so important because we are living to be a really long time and we're bolstered by all these medications. But then you risk living your last 20 years alive, but not really able to enjoy your life. So we want to be vital all the way until the end of our lives, and this is a key point. So we were trying to figure out how to do it. So structured exercise versus your daily constant movement kind of exercise, which is better?
I think both are really important, but one of the I'm a big advocate for walking. If you haven't been active for a while, it's so accessible. It
Mhm.
doesn't require any equipment, and you can really start where you are, even with a few steps. You can ignore that very general recommendation of getting 10,000 steps that, it's a shame because you really can start much lower than that. You can start with 1,000 steps and or less, start with
And see
500.
a change in your life.
And yes,
Yeah.
the important thing is to start where you are and just start. And I
Yes.
promise you will notice a difference because, starting with 500, the next day you might do 600, 700, 1,000, 2,000, and so on. And there is a compound effect to moving on a regular basis. Yeah, and the evidence around walking for mental health. um,
Mhm.
is really something.
Right, and, add on top of that, if you get to be outside, if your weather allows you to be outside and get that sunshine and, I mean, the smells of nature, like, it's so grounding on
Yeah.
top of just the fact that you're getting some steps in.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you can get yourself outside, I mean, of course, there's an option to walk on a treadmill or use a walking pad that have under your desk. But to your point, walking outside, you get the win-win. It's the
Mhm.
exposure to light. It's if you're lucky enough to be exposed to nature, it's a win-win-win. And even after 10 minutes, I mean, you have changed your physical state, you have changed the story up here. So, what a lot of people I think get wrong when it comes to like, there's so many people right now who are feeling anxious, overwhelmed. They struggle with lack of energy and lack of motivation. And it can be very difficult to start. But I promise you, like, if you can just do something to change the state of your body, and it doesn't take a lot. I mean, honestly, it's like sometimes it's just like getting your arms above your head or just moving, dance to your favorite song, do something for a few minutes. It can be enough to change how you feel. But it's in that order. Calming your body to calm your mind.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and, again, that mindset. You have to start with the mindset first. My mom used to say, "Well, I'll go jogging when I look like that. Like, she's cute." I'm like, "No, it's because she," and I bought into it when I was a kid because that, we were an overweight family. And, I bought into that. Like, "Oh, well, we don't jog because we don't look like that," which we didn't. But it's like now, as I got older, I realized, and I started exercising and lost weight and got in shape. She looks like that because she's jogging. We had it
Yes,
backwards, and we were raised with this weird mindset that
I
we were this
know.
is how we were built. This is, we need to love ourselves the way we are, and it's like,
No.
no.
I think when you start seeing yourself as active, you're more inclined to make better choices. And if you can see yourself as active, you're more inclined to even do the 10-minute walk or walks, as I was saying earlier, throughout the day. You're more inclined to say yes when your friend invites you to play pickleball. You're more inclined to say yes to go for a bike ride, or to even like use one of the many apps or go on YouTube and do a short hit workout or something like that.
Yeah, because we wanted to be that girl. We all three of my mom and my sister and I, we all three wanted to be her on the corner waiting for the light to change, looking cute in her outfit. And we just, it just seemed so completely out of reach. And what I want people to know is that if you just start doing a little bit, you're gonna it'll get easy.
It
And it gets easy
does.
really quickly. Your body adjusts so quickly. And then you'll be doing a little more and a little more. And then you'll be missing it when you don't. It
And I
becomes something that you really need.
and I think it's really important. The old way was to focus on how you look first, and
Hmm.
we had it all wrong. Focused on how you will feel, and
Totally.
look will, you will change of how you look, but start with how you feel, and that will be your motivation because you will feel different.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, it's mental. When you're that one who's smiling and has energy and you have the energy to go have fun with your friends, you will just be living a better life.
Yeah.
As opposed to focusing on what size you are. You really want the energy to enjoy your life and for your entire life.
Yeah. I mean, I also encourage people not to wait to feel motivated to go for
Totally.
a walk or to you have to know that if you can get yourself outside, say I'm going to go out for 5 minutes. Um, but don't wait to say, don't sit around and go, well, I don't feel like going out. Don't make that mistake because most people, even genetically, don't have the brain derived neurotrophic factor like BDNF that gives them that inner motivation to exercise.
Yeah, one of the things I started doing to improve my sleep is to go outside and get that sunlight in the morning, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
And because it sets your circadian rhythm so that as the sun goes down, you start feeling like you're ready. But if you're in artificial lighting and you're screwing with your circadian rhythm, it makes you end up relying on things like caffeine and sugar to keep you going. And I will say that when I go outside at first, it does reduce the amount of coffee and caffeine I need throughout the day. And that's actually been proven, which is
Yes.
why I did it because it's proven. So I tried it and it worked. But, once I get outside also, I'm like, oh, it's a beautiful day. I need to make sure I go for my walk. But if I hide inside and I imagine it's cold and I imagine it's a totally different experience when you go stand out there. You're like, it's not so cold. It's not so bad. In fact, it's really nice. Listen to those birds. It's really
I know.
motivating.
Well, I will tell you, I mean, I'm in Toronto. It is really cold today.
Yeah, yeah.
And I sometimes like do a little game. I will, if it's really cold, I'll say, I'm just gonna go to the end of the driveway, like in the morning.
Yes.
No, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to I'm gonna go to the stop sign. And I mean, I have my dog with me. And then the other way is I'm doing it for him. Like this is like, look how much he's enjoying it. So don't think of my own, how cold I'm feeling, but it's for the dog.
Totally. So small steps, just make little small goals. Just the end of the driveway. Like you can do that.
Yes,
I
yes.
love that.
So often it's like what they say, like if you can just get yourself to the gym, you probably won't leave. And in my world, when as we're talking about walking and like really small steps, if you can get yourself outside your building, outside your home, into like to your driveway, I promise you'll probably end up walking for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 7 minutes.
Well, and that's what I tell my people I'm coaching too. It's like just going to the gym counts. You
Yeah,
can leave. Just make yourself go. And
yes.
then you're welcome to leave, but they usually don't. They're like, well, at the least do the sauna. Just do, but you'll be like, once you get back on that horse and you get into that gym and you're in that environment, it's not that scary anymore. It's because it's so easy to put that off. So we're running out of time. So I want to make sure that everyone knows how to get in touch with you. And Jocelyn is kind enough to offer a free 30-minute consultation to come up with a plan to increase your movement. So all you have to do is go to her website and mention podcast when filling out the contact form. And that's at jwellness.ca.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm so excited. And then I also am offering a free, if you go to brightbyyourside.com, you can download a free energy reset little cheat sheet to help you when you're dealing with difficult conversations or difficult environments. So Jocelyn, so we'll just recap real quick the tips people can take away in the last couple seconds. So what else can someone do real quick to get them moving?
What else can they do? I mean, I think a big one is What else? So many people now are on social media. So one of my favorite tips is if you're going to be on Instagram, stand up. Don't
I
sit
like
down.
that. Yes. If you're going
It's
to
a
do
small
Instagram, you
thing.
need to stand up.
The other is that, some people call a friend every day or like a parent, stand up or go for a walk for one of those calls. It's very easy just to put in your
Yes.
buds. And when you start making those things habits, like I can go on Instagram, but I've got to stand while I'm doing it. I promise you won't be on Instagram as long. Not as
That's actually
fun. It's
that's a
not as
great
fun.
idea. That's another win-win. I like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Better for your mental health
Oh,
too.
and your eyeballs, the whole shebang, right?
Yeah.
I know
Across the
those
board.
phones. The phones they're just killers. Um, all right. So we are out of time. So Jocelyn, I just want to thank you again for being on my show. Please reach out to Jocelyn just to help you get going. She'll help you take action. And I'm Jen Dyer. I'm here to help. And this is Bright by Your Side on Transformation Talk Radio.
You have been listening to Bright by Your Side with Jen, upleveling in the age of anxiety with science on Transformation Talk Radio. If you are considering mental health medication for yourself or your child, please try this first. Life skills and gut health are keys to reducing anxiety. Let us show you it's easier than you think. Tune in every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time to feel optimistic about your own abilities and learn easy, proven ways to live life with ease. Become resilient to stress, anxiety, and overwhelm and find joy. We're bringing you solutions to the problems stressing you out. We do the research for you and present it on a silver platter with a side of fun and laughter. Every show will leave you smiling, optimism, and joy in real time. To connect with Jen, visit brightbyyourside.com.